You like that picture, is that?
Got that.
Yeah, it was great.
You two need to get a room.
This is our room. Look at the picture of Sid.
All right, let's get going here.
Yeah.
Gosh. All right. I think I'm up and running. I think things are looking okay. Although someone killed me, so I'm flying.
Yeah, there's a rogue nearby, so be careful. I don't know if he's still there. He killed me too.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew this or not, Perst, but if you turn war mode off, people can't randomly kill you.
What?
What's the fun in that?
Lies
When did that happen?
away. Wow. I don't know.
They
Even
they
though
just
I
patched that in.
go do some rears and see what happens.
Ah, goody. All right. Well, just to let you guys know, I am recording our meeting. So for anyone who couldn't attend, they can watch it at another time that works for them. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so our agenda for tonight. So I want to have our meeting first. So we'll talk about our raid roster. We'll talk about expectations. We'll talk about our raid schedule. And then we'll have an open forum, kind of a question and answer period, an opportunity for you guys to say, hey, this didn't work for us, or hey, this worked really well. It's kind of reflecting upon the BFA and offering suggestions so we can do better moving into Shadowlands. So that's kind of the plan. And then after we finish up the raid or the meeting, rather than we'll move into the to the raiding portion of the evening, and we'll do a continuation. We'll continue on Carapace and move into N'Zoth.
But before you start, welcome to the new guildies that are here with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome to
Let's make sure. Am I recording? I am recording. Okay. All right.
Okay, carry on.
Alrighty. So let's see here. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here. I think this is really important, us getting together to have these conversations. As I've said lots of times in the past, it takes a community of people to raise a guild. It's not just one person. It's not just a group of people. Oh, just swallowed my gum. It's not a group of people. It's we all participate. We all participate in the success of this guild and the success of our raid team. So, everyone's voice matters. Everyone plays a role. You're all important. And so I think it's really important that we're getting together and we're having this discussion. So thanks for being here, you guys. Yeah, right. Gosh, what a rocky start. Is this like ominous for, how the night's going to go or what?
Wait for you to hold the applause to the end.
Well, I lose.
Keep your gum for 7 years first. Hey, you talking about just swallow your gum?
Nah, 2 raids should generate enough stomach acid to wipe that out.
It's just all bad. I have no internet, swallowed my gum. It's just, it's going downhill.
It's falling off.
I still have one.
Oh, God.
You're supposed to breathe air, not your gum.
Right. Okay, I'll write that down. Okay, well we'll start with the easy stuff first. For those of us, for those of you who have been raiding with us for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, I'm sure there's not going to be a whole lot of surprises here. But it is just one of those things where we still need to get together and make sure that we're all on the same page moving forward. But looking in this raid chat, we have some new guildies. We have some new faces or people who are just relatively new to the guild. So, with that said, we still need to go through all this stuff to make sure, like I said, that we're all on the same page and we're all moving toward the same vision going into Shadowlands. So I guess we'll start with the start date. So for raid progression, we're going to start Saturday, January 9th. And so that gives us a little over a month to get ready. And I know that typically we start raid progression like immediately, like right away. But thanks, Blizz, for opening up, Castle Nathria right over the holidays, and I'm kind of disappointed about that. But it is what it is, and I just think it's unfair to ask you guys to max level and to be, raid ready in 2 weeks before Christmas. I just think that that's unfair and that's unreasonable. So I think giving everyone a month to enjoy the content, to get to max level, to get raid ready, I think that's a more reasonable timeline. So like I said, Saturday, January 9th will be our first raid progression night. And, for those of you who, are excited to get in there ahead of time, by all means, I would never discourage anyone from pugging it, doing what you need to do for your own personal raid progression. That's fine. What I would ask, though, is that when we do start raiding, please don't be killing bosses ahead of our raid progression. Only because what you do then is you loot lock yourself, and then you reduce the amount of loot for our loot table. And then that just means less loot for the group, less loot to share. So like I said, if you do want to pug it, that's great, but please don't kill bosses before we do. So after our Saturday progression, if you want to continue pugging on Sunday and Monday, that's great, but please don't be ahead of us. Any questions about that?
For those of us that don't have a life, if there's enough of us to run it, can we do some like unofficial stuff?
Well, whatever we post on the calendar, it means it's a sanctioned guild event. And, so with that, we have only officers who run guild events. And so that way, once it's posted on the guild calendar, then it becomes a formalized event. So it means, there's a certain set of expectations. So, if it's on the calendar, it means that it's something that you can depend on. It means that it's going to be organized. It's going to be led by one of the officers. The rules are going to be enforced, all that good stuff. So I'd like to say no, because we like to only the officers. We post the events on the calendar. Now, if that means in guild chat, you're like, hey, let's run a keystone, that's different. That's kind of in the moment, on the fly. Let's do something. It's not formal. It's just, kind of casual in the moment. That's fine. But in terms of actually putting a guild group together and posting it on the calendar, no, that's just reserved for the officers.
Oh, you're misunderstanding. I wasn't saying that I wanted to run it. I was just saying if there's an officer that's around that wants to do something unofficial, that's all I was saying.
Oh yes, for sure. All right, so what else do I have here? So we'll continue to have it on Saturdays. It'll be same time as usual from 8 to 11. We'll have 2 5-minute breaks as always. So our first break is at 9 o'clock. Our second break is at 10. Please bring personals. So make sure you have all the goodies that you need. Make sure you have food, you have flasks, your gear is gemmed and enchanted. Make sure you've done your homework, you've researched the fights. In terms of add-ons, please have DBM, GTFO, weak auras, and some DPS or heals meter. Now, just to let you guys know, the officer team, we are going to be using details. So when we have to make those tough calls and when we have to trim the raid, we're going to be using details. So that way it's consistent among the officer team. Because there are differences between SCADA and recount and details. So you're welcome to use, whatever meter you want, but just be aware that when we do make decisions, it's going to be based on the data from details. Any questions about that?
Is the details fixed yet? Because last time I was trying to use it, it wouldn't come up on my screen for some reason.
Yeah, it's been fixed for a couple of weeks now.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a patch too. You could go from their website or whatever and put it in the folder and fix it. But yeah, it's fixed now.
Okay. Now, in terms of DPS and heals requirement, that is something that we just can't give you right now. Like, we do have the data that's on the beta, but it's just unreliable. So as soon as we figure out what that reasonable magic number is going to be for heals and DPS, we'll let you know. And I know that some of you have expressed, well, why are we having a meeting now if you guys don't have DPS or heals requirement? Well, moving into Shadowlands, we recognize that you need to know what role that you'll be performing for raid, and that depends on the covenant that you're going to choose. So just out of courtesy of that, just to give you the notice ahead of time, we thought it was important to have this meeting now, so you know what role you'll be doing for Shadowlands, so then you can choose your covenant accordingly. But like I said, as soon as we know what that reasonable magic number will be, we'll let you know. The best thing that we can give you right now is pretty much an item level, which I think is going to be around 190, just based on the item level gear that drops in LFR and normal. So I think 190 is going to be the item level that we're going to shoot for moving into normal Castle Nathria. Any questions about that?
I do have a question about like consumables and personals and stuff. What do we know is going to be available? Like, I saw there are like armor kits and oils now.
Armor kits are just applied one time to your chest piece now, and weapons have consumables that are weight stones and sharpening stones for melee weapons, and spell oils for casters.
Yeah. So.
Used to have those, Sid?
They'll be new to, originally they were in the game, but they'll be new for Shadowlands. Blacksmiths will make the sharpening stones and the weight stones. Alchemists will make the spell oils. I'm sure that the blacksmiths and the alchemists of the guild will be more than happy to donate to the guild bank, and the materials are fairly cheap.
Brings me back to the Burning Crusade where we needed that stuff.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
Yep. Well, and sorry, go ahead.
And of course, I would assume there's going to be the food and flasks, which I believe flasks changed. There's only 2 flasks now.
Yeah. Well, and with respect to the food and the flasks, like, as always, we will try to provide feasts and cauldrons. But, at the beginning of raid progression, sometimes it can be really tough. And just looking at the mats for these feasts and cauldrons, like, yikes. So we might need to host more than just one farming event per month, in order to provide for our raid nights. So, but we'll take a look at that once we get into Shadowlands. But for now, we do ask our raiders to have backup food and flasks in the event that we can't provide them.
The good news is that none of the feasts require any bind on pickup items. It's all stuff that anyone can farm.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most of the feasts are just made up of dishes that you already create. So even if you can't make feasts, the guild would very much appreciate if you could just make a particular part of the feast and donate towards feast creation.
Exactly. So. All right, well, if there's no questions about that, we'll move into loot rules. So as I know, moving into Shadowlands, it's still personal loot. So that is your loot. We would never ask anyone to give up their loot. But if you are willing to donate that piece, then we will ask you to trade it to whoever is distributing the loot for that night. We want all the loot to be funneled to that one person. And so that way loot distribution it's unbiased and it's transparent. So we don't have any secret, trading going on, because all that stuff is just, it's just going to lead to loot drama and hurt feelings and, and nepotism and favoritism and all sorts of isms that we just don't want. So if we trade it to that one person, then it's, like I said, very transparent, very unbiased, highest roll wins, easy peasy. And as always, whoever is that loot distributor, they will post it in the raid chat. The first roll will be for a need roll. All guildies can win 1 need roll. So after you've won your need roll, then you have to wait until off spec. You have unlimited off-spec wins. You have unlimited transmog wins. The only limitation is on the need roll. You can only win one need roll. And, it's just our way of trying to spread the loot fairly, and give everyone an opportunity to at least win, something in terms of their need, their primary spec. And if you're needing on something, then it means that you're needing on the, the role that you attended the raid for. So if you are tanking, then you are need rolling on tank gear. If you're healing, then you're need rolling on healing gear. And any guests that we invite into our raid team, so anyone who isn't a member, they do have to wait until off-spec. But we still love them very much, and they are our beloved guests, and we are very, very appreciative that we have those guests to come and join us. But technically, since they aren't in the guild, they do have to wait until off-spec. Any questions about loot rolls?
Nope.
Alrighty. In terms of our raiding etiquette, again, nothing has changed there. Of course, we ask everyone to be on time. It just makes things run efficient. It just means that we can get more bosses down and we can utilize every minute of our raid time. Like, we only raid one night a week. We've got 3 hours. And so let's utilize every moment. Let's respect everyone's time. Let's be on time, and let's have some fun on that Saturday. We do ask everyone, please, no politics, no religious commentary in any kind of social platform, no swearing, no sexist or vulgar comments. We like to have fun, but, we also want to make it enjoyable for everyone. Another etiquette requirement that we ask of our raiders is please stay on your main. So whatever tune that you've decided to play for that particular raid, please stay on that main until AOTC is earned. So once we've achieved AOTC for Castle Nathria, when we transition to the next raid, you are welcome to change up your main, but not until we've earned that AOTC. Any questions about that?
What's that? Are we still doing Fridays?
Yes, we will have alt raid on Fridays. So once we get there, depending on how quickly we progress through Castle Nathria, once we finish normal, then progression will continue to heroic Castle Nathria, and then that means we'll start our alt raid, and alt raid will be on Fridays, and we will do normal Castle Nathria. So that way, alt raid is always one tier behind progression. So that way we've got, a bit of a tiered rating schedule. So for those people who aren't quite ready for progression, then we have something on the calendar to accommodate that particular need and to help them with their own, with their own game. Do you guys know why we ask people to stay on their main until AOTC is earned? Again, one of the things why I think it's important that we get together and we have these chats is, not only to go over the rules, but also to understand why we have these rules in place. Do you guys know why we ask you to do that, to stay on your main?
Drama.
What do you mean by drama?
No, Persh, we don't know why. Can you tell us?
Is this also why we have pets in the bottom tab?
Well, that's where hot chicks said to put them.
Yeah.
No,
Right?
no more pets.
So people ain't flopping all over the place from one tune to another and getting all this gear, and nobody else can get gear for the one that they've been playing forever.
I think it's more like keeps the group together the way it is, the way you built it already.
If you keep changing it, then all the strategy keeps changing. It's like you want to kind of keep it smooth as you can.
Exactly. Like it does. It strengthens the solidarity of the raid group and the consistency of the raid group. Like if you've got 3 plate wearers and 2 of them have the shoulders that you really want, well then that increases your chances of getting those plate shoulders, right? It increases the odds of the loot table that there's a good chance that you might get that, or it might be available to roll on. So if we have people switching things up, then it changes the loot table. And that's unfair, and the other thing too is, we have our tanks, we have our healers, they've committed to that role. And so if we have DPS switching in and out and changing tunes, then it's unfair, to those people who have committed to perform that role, for the duration of AOTC. So I just think for all sorts of reasons, like I'm seeing, to avoid drama, all that kind of stuff here in Guild Chat. Yeah, it's just to keep things fair and to keep things consistent and to strengthen us as a raid team.
Yeah, this guild is different from most guilds. You have people that will give up loot, even if it is an upgrade for them to help out somebody else. That's one thing that's really good about this guild.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. I completely agree with you.
It's all mine. Mine.
That how you want more mini pets in the bank?
That's that's where we get all the pets.
Yeah, the pets.
What tab?
It's,
oh dear.
It's the open tab.
All the tabs, wherever you
The first, no tabs, no tabs. I can't even get rid of the ones that we got in there. Nobody buys them.
It's not as good as something Mazrak's meat, but
Alrighty, so let's talk about our event calendar for a minute. So like I said, we're going to start raid progression on Saturday, January 9th, and that is when we will also resume our full-time event calendar. So once Shadowlands launches, most of our events will be suspended because of course we're leveling and we're enjoying the new content. But that week so that will be Sunday, January 3rd. That falls, so that particular week, that's also the same week, Saturday, January 9th, when we'll start raid progression. So that'll be the week that we'll resume our event calendar full time. So you can expect that we'll have the same events as we did for this expansion. We'll have LFR, we'll have, lots of dungeons and keystones. We may have PvP, we'll have alt raid, we'll have farming events. We might need to have more frequent farming events. But, every event that we have on the calendar, in some way supports raid readiness. Like it helps you get there. And that's why we have so many events. Like we're not just a raiding guild. We have a variety of events to try to accommodate a variety of interests and also to accommodate a variety of abilities too. Like we don't want anyone to feel excluded. And, we try really hard to provide events that not only give that variety, but also in an interest to try to accommodate everyone. And it's not something that we take lightly. We do devote a lot of time, and there's a lot of thinking behind these decisions in terms of, okay, let's diagnose where our strengths and weaknesses are as a guild. What need can be accommodated by hosting this particular event? How can we address this issue? So like the officers and I, we like I said, we try really hard to not only provide variety, but create an event calendar that is diverse and that also meets the needs of our guild. And like I said, every event is important, and we hate canceling anything. Come Hades or hell water, like we like to keep our events on the calendar. We don't like to cancel. If there is an officer who can't make it, we tend to host on their behalf. So you can depend on that event calendar, that whatever we post throughout the week, those events are there to stay, and that it's something that you can depend on. And with that said too, like when you guys experience the new content with Shadowlands, if you think to yourself, hey, this would be a really great guild event, let us know. Like bring it to an officer's. What's that?
Torghast.
Sorry, I missed that in way.
Torghast.
Yeah.
That's a power.
Yeah. So yeah, if there's an event that you think, hey, this would be a great idea for a guild event, let us know, and then we'll try to formalize that and put it on the calendar. Because the more events that we have for our guild, the better. Any questions about that?
I guess to add on to that, something that would be it's helpful to us is giving us some feedback for our events too, like what's working, what's not working. And maybe that's the topic Purse is going to segue into, but just we like she mentioned, we try to have a lot of different events that cover a full range of things, and we can't accommodate everything, but we do our best.
Yep.
Yeah, what Annie said.
Yeah, that guy.
Just because you can't answer my questions when I have my question contest,
I literally have no clue, and I'm sure the answer is left shark in the first ad.
Absolutely.
They're tough questions, Hot Chick.
They really are.
They are. So.
Someone's not paying attention in the game.
Yeah.
We're supposed to pay attention?
Right, what is that?
I'm a blood DK, just standing and stuff.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't come out to Hot Chicks events. I want other people to have a chance to win.
All right, well, like Annie said, let's transition into the open forum discussion. So let's have a question answer period. Let's hear from you. Like what worked, what didn't work? What would you like to see happen in Shadowlands? How can we do better? What do you guys got?
Who's raid?
Not all at once, guys.
Well, I was waiting to be called.
Sid is raising his hands right there.
No, I was just. Who's raid leading? This.
So I will be raid leading.
Okay.
Is there any chance that we might be able to get a more East Coast friendly dungeon event going on?
Like with Boston accent, New York accent?
Pro Keys and Chill Keys are both events that I would have loved to have spent more time doing. But 11 o'clock Eastern after the raid and 9 o'clock Eastern on a Thursday are just not times that are very conducive to some people on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you do.
All right. We'll definitely take that into consideration. We'll definitely do our best.
I'll give some clarity on that. So I will see what I can do to move that time up. But part of the reason originally I had it earlier, but it interfered with bedtime stuff with my daughter.
Right now, I totally get that. And
so, but I hear you. So I will see if I can bump it up.
All right.
Or move it. Yeah, or move it to a better day and time.
Okay.
Or day.
But you still won't get your Twilight back.
Ugh, why?
Sorry, Annie. You just have to live without it.
Ugh. Gross.
Just a suggestion, just a thought. Maybe with the Saturday night keys, would there be opposition to running that before raid?
Well,
after.
That would be hard to do it before, though. It would have to be much, because say you have run into a 3-hour dungeon, which we've run into that, and
it spills into raid night.
What are you gonna do? Leave it after trying so hard? I don't know about that.
Yeah. But again, the timing of the events will be something that we'll revisit. We'll take a look at for sure.
Yeah, I mean, part of that too is that's a leftover event from when Dak was still in the guild, and I think he's a Pacific Coast guy, so that would have not been that late for him. But that's a fair point.
Yeah, yeah. And yep, Sundays is something that we can look at too. Historically, we have tried to run events on Sundays, and it just hasn't been well attended. But we're heading into a new expansion, right? So who knows? Maybe Sundays might become a better time for more people.
I
especially if everything shuts down again.
Yeah.
What about Wednesday? Like Wednesday, there's nothing going on with the guild.
Yeah, but there's
It will
work
be, that's
schedules.
will be Oops's old school run.
There's also work schedules too.
Yeah.
On those days, the weekends are way easier for more people. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on what the times you guys set up.
Old school run. Are we doing that all through the year now?
Well, like I said, once Shadowlands starts, most of our events will be suspended. So come the week of January 3rd, we will start up our event schedule full time. And so sometime between Shadowlands and January 3rd, the officers and I will get together and we'll finalize our event calendar, and we'll figure out who's doing what and when and what time and all that good stuff.
And to kind of go back on what Chris said as far as like doing groups, like Mythic Plus doesn't require an officer to be there. If you are capable of leading a group into a Mythic Plus, then go for it. There's lots of people in the guild. If you can get, people to go with you, great. That's really all we're doing with the Mythic Plus times. It's just getting a group together, getting a healer, getting a couple DPS and a tank together and go smash some stuff. So, it's really no different. If you're capable, then go for it.
Yeah. Well,
whenever you have time.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's I don't think I explained it very well earlier when I explained the difference between getting a group together kind of in the moment. We're like, hey guys, I've got a +2 key or a +11 key. Hey, let's run this key. Like, we certainly encourage that. Absolutely. The events that we put on the calendar, they, like I said, they become formalized. An officer will be running those events. And so, those are events that you can come to count on and depend on. And, you can trust that whoever's running that event is knowledgeable and will be prepared, and they've done their homework and all that good stuff. But that certainly doesn't mean that you guys can't, in the moment in guild chat, say, hey, let's run this key, or hey, let's do a BG, or, whatever. Absolutely. We definitely encourage that.
But I would like to remind everybody, know your level. If you're not able to do a high key, don't say, hey, I'll come. I'm doing a 15. Okay, well, I've only done a 5. Don't ask to come to a 15. If you're not at that level yet, don't put yourself in a position where you're going to get in a group where you're going to literally drag the whole group down.
How many times do I have to say I'm sorry for that, Sam?
I'm just saying,
Couple more times.
If you're not at that level yet, don't grab a Hot Wheels and then decide to go to NASCAR. Be aware of how good, your character's set up, how good your gear is, what you're used to running. Don't try to skip 10 levels, because all that happens is, and this happens to Mythic Plus all the time, is people do that, and then the next time somebody asks, they're like, no, you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person feels left out because they weren't ready for that level.
Yeah. Well, and then, and that also goes back to the raid expectations, right? It's like, it's a commitment that we're making to each other, right? And we don't want to waste people's time. It's being a part of a team is a privilege. We all need to do our homework. We all need to come prepared. We all need to have our gear gemmed and enchanted and ready to go, and our add-ons installed, good to go. So, it's honoring that commitment that we have to each other. And like Savvy said, knowing your limitations. Like, would I want to join a 20 keystone? Heck no, and nor would I want to sabotage that group, so it's not about excluding people. It's about, hey, what's reasonable for me.
And if you, sorry to interrupt again, and if you don't know, ask. If somebody posts something, don't feel bad about going, hey, what should I be doing? How much DPS should I be doing? What my item level should be? Because most people that are doing higher stuff will be able to tell you, hey, you need to be doing so-and-so DPS or so-and-so item level, et cetera, to be doing this content. all that's going to do is get you more respect for even asking and taking the time to make sure that when you're going into that first aid group, that you're going to be a contributing member to that team.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm not an officer, but I do love running dungeons. So if you're new to the guild or new to the game and you're wanting to learn, just, wanting to learn, wanting to play through, wanting to ask questions, and you want a non-stressful environment where I'm not going to be biting your head off, I will be more than happy to run with anyone, regardless of key level, and just so you can get time to practice, just sit up. I'm always good to run a dungeon.
And going into this next expansion, Mythic Plus is going to be even more helpful, than it already is, just based on the gear it's going to be giving, etc. So, even if you're, let's say not comfortable doing one, maybe just try to get into something low, I mean, when you first start going up, it's not really much different than just a normal dungeon or heroic dungeon. Obviously, it gets harder by level, but as with anything, everything takes steps, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, just kind of
a ladder, start at the bottom.
That's right.
Yep.
I'll just tack on to Sid's comment. So that's kind of what the concept behind the chill keys is. But that way, it's a formalized event, so you know that it's going to come up if you're looking for something on a schedule.
Yep.
Just the expectations are listed. It's just a, if you want to try out a class you're not comfortable with, it's like we're not expecting to time these keys. So, come hang out and learn how to play a different class or whatever, and that's the goal. But to Sid's credit, if y'all are all on, want to run one, we're not going to stop you.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Norman.
You're good. So with CRD, the intention is to never go into Mythic. Are we allowed to run with another group if we're going to go into Mythic rating?
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I would never discourage anyone from doing what they need to do to meet their own progression needs. Absolutely. No, we are not a Mythic guild. We won't be running Mythic raids. I often find that just the dedication, the commitment, the skill level required to perform at that Mythic level, I guess that is very time consuming. And in many ways, it can be in contrast to the kind of community that you want to foster in a guild. Sometimes they're just not compatible. And often you don't see very many Mythic guilds. Like there's lots of Mythic raid groups, but not Mythic guilds, because, with Mythic raids, it's all about bigger, better, stronger, faster. It's about, hey, what can you do for us? And if you're not pulling it, you're gone. Like there's no loyalties, nothing like that. Right. So like in terms of a supportive community that we try to foster here in the guild, yeah, it can often be in contrast to the kind of philosophy that you need to follow for Mythic progression.
Also, 20 men or women, whatever, 20 people.
Yeah.
And you have 21 people that want to play.
I know.
That's that one person leaving out.
I know. Yeah, it sucks.
And then it's just not fair.
Yeah.
To that person.
Yeah.
Or people who do want to do that. It's just harder to raid like that when it's not a flex.
Absolutely. For sure. And yeah, it means that you have to make some tough calls as a raid leader. And of course that doesn't feel good. Yeah, it's a bummer that the Mythic raids are 20 instead of being, more flexible.
And I've seen some my son's in a Mythic raiding guild, and they kick certain people out and certain bosses and bring in different people for boss. So you're not running all the bosses on your toon a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's very common.
Yeah, I never noticed that, and then I watched
melee
the raid
friendly versus range friendly. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they
for sure.
it out a lot.
Yeah, is right. It's like, oh, you play a rogue, oh bummer. Well, we need a hunter. Sorry, you can't join us tonight.
The first 3 bosses, you can't have this type of class in there, or we want 6 mages instead of the 2, so 4 of you guys are out. It's like we're here to have fun, and that's pretty much it.
To tack onto point there, I just wanted to reiterate, because I know I've mentioned it a couple of times for the alt and the raids now, but now that we've got all these people here, there's a lot of discussion and a lot of back and forth, and everyone's worried about what they're going to play or what their numbers are going to be and their covenant choices and all of that. And the DPS numbers are swinging around like crazy because it's still in beta. Those numbers that you see posted on websites like Wowhead and Icy Veins are designed for people who are running high-end Mythic rating and high Mythic Plus keys. For what CRD does in its rating and the way that we do raids, you can play whatever class, covenant, spec combination you want, and you will still be okay. You do not have to be the absolute min-maxed top of the chart 100 parse every time to do a heroic raid. Mm-hmm. So please don't be worried or concerned about any of those things, and choose based off of whatever metric you want to play the game on. If you're concerned about numbers, then choose the one that's like that. But if you want to play a Night Fae survival hunter because you like pretty wings and you want to throw grenades, then play a Night Fae survival hunter and CRD will embrace you.
Yep. Yep.
Because you will be a more effective player playing what you want to play than being a player who's shoehorning themselves into something that they don't want to do to try to meet numbers.
Yeah. And that's what we've always said. You know, we want people to play what they love to play, and then we'll figure it out from there. You know, I don't want anyone having to play a class or a role that they don't love and that they feel forced to play. That's just, you know, I don't want that. So play what you love first, and then we'll figure it out from there.
We have goals. We want to get AOTC. But we don't just get AOTC and then we're done. Mm-hmm. We will continue trying to get AOTC for everybody who missed it. And you know, up to the last day, we do it, and we're still doing it. You know, that rate.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, and one of the things that, you know, I pride myself on with this guild is how active we are. Like, here we are, 2 weeks, the end of an expansion, and we had 20 people last night for alt raid. Like, I just think that's fantastic. So we're a very active guild, and for us, it's like, it's the community that matters. And, you know, I find that, you know, sometimes when you get into those, you know, higher level progressive mythic guilds, you know, once all the bosses have been defeated, all the achievements have been earned, the guild dissolves. Because, all right, what's the purpose to log on? Well, you know, the purpose to log on is the community, is the relationships that we have nurtured and fostered here. And, you know, and so again, to see 20 people for alt raid, you know, I think that's something to be proud of.
First, remind all of us, because we do have a lot of new people, how long we've been a guild for, like when this guild was formed. I can't remember exactly either myself.
I was a young man at the time.
I believe this is our 10th year.
Ooh, happy birthday.
Yeah. So
10 years.
Yeah. So
do we get a free mount and some butterfly wings?
Cookies for everybody.
You'll get nothing and you'll like it.
Yeah.
Yes. I want a hamburger.
Well, I've got your beef right here, buddy.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we went there already, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously, come on.
Oh, we lost Basil. And we lost Hot Chick.
Oh dear. It just got too hot. Too hot for them.
Ooh. Oh, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just want to go over one thing. As much as Sid said, we try our hardest to be inclusive as possible, but there are times during raid where if you're not doing what is needed for that boss, and you do happen to get sat for that boss, don't take it as, we hate you or we don't like you or anything else like that. It's, the bosses have a certain amount of DPS that's needed to kill bosses. It's very simple mathematics.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is there's a whole guild here. There's lots of people that are experienced. So, if you're not doing well, just ask, and usually if we do have to sit anybody, we usually reach out to them or get a hold of them and try to figure out how to get them to where they need to be. So do not think it's a slap in the face. Sometimes it just comes down to that. We hardly ever do it really, because it is not fun to do. And yeah, it sucks to have to take anybody out of the raid group that wants to be there to raid. But at times, we are a guild team, and so moving forward as a team, getting a couple more bosses down, is very meaningful. Since we only have so many hours to raid.
Yeah.
So just to let everybody know, like I said, it's not a slap in the face. Experience takes time. Sometimes people struggle more than others. It happens. But we're here to help. Don't feel bad about reaching out.
It's not like you guys sit people after 2 or 3 attempts. It's like a long time. Like the first hour, that we're doing it.
Yeah.
So we are beyond fair when it comes to that sort of thing, and so because even like in other heroic groups, when we get to that point, I've seen people get kicked off of one boss fight. Try doing a pug and not meet the numbers, during the first couple of months of a new raid.
Yep.
You just get insta-booted, So we do give everybody a fair shot, and usually it's, a ways in when everybody is familiar with fights and, during progression, obviously we don't know the numbers yet, as Perce was saying, but yeah, I just want everybody to know that's kind of what we do.
Well, that's what your damage meters and healing meters are for. So you can see your numbers. You'll know if you need help and if you're hurting the, and you'll understand.
Exactly, and I will continue. And I'll continue to post, right, those combat logs, and I'll continue to upload our videos to our YouTube channel for sure. That's something that will continue as we move into Shadowlands. But, and just to be clear too, because I think transparency is very important. And, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes when, we try to make decisions. And when we do make decisions, like we try to be as objective and as unbiased as possible. Like when we have to trim someone from the raid, and to be fair, like I think we err more on the side of trimming too late than too early. And I know sometimes that can be to the detriment of the raid group. But when we do have to make those calls, we look at the numbers. Like it's based on the numbers. It's not because we don't like you. If 10K is the magic number and someone is doing 5K, then, mathematically, in order for this to work, we need someone else in the group doing 15K in order to compensate for that person who's doing 5K. And if we just don't have the numbers, then we have to make those tough decisions. And that's when we have to trim, and we look at the bottom of the list, and then we go up. And and like Savvy said, we don't kick people to the curb. Like we connect with those people throughout the week. We're like, okay, how can we help you out? Let's take a look at the logs. Let's take a look at your rotation. Tell us how we can help you to get there, because we want you to continue raiding with us. We want to include everyone. So yeah, I just, I don't want you to think that we're a bunch of monsters making, these decisions and hurting people's feelings. It's not what it's about at all. We try to be as inclusive as possible. And, and if the bosses are dying and we're all getting loot, then great. We don't need to look at numbers. But if we hit a brick wall and we're hitting in rage timers and our healers are, running out of mana, then we have to look at the numbers. And when we do look at the numbers, that's when we look at the raid expectations. If the magic number is 10, then that's the catalyst that we use in making decisions.
I'll add on to that. Part of the reason why we chose to all use the same DPS meter is because of that exact comment, because I ran a different one and we had gotten to a very healthy discussion over what the numbers were, because on one meter it was an acceptable number, say it was 12, but then on details it was like 8, and that wasn't going to make the cut. So we gave it a fair shot, a couple more attempts, and then finally had to pull the trigger on it. But again, that's what she means by that objectivity. Is we talk about it. We go into officer chat during breaks and go, okay, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
If I may add, unlike other guilds where more high-end guilds, there are people here who are always going to be willing to work with you. So if you're asked to step out, or if if it's pointed out to you that you're not performing where you should be performing, there are a number of people that you can go to with resources that will work with you, talk about your rotation, talk about add-ons, that will theory craft with you, that will show you how to use any number of websites.
Absolutely.
There are people here who are willing to help you. So if you're ever on the unfortunate side of being asked to improve, please use the resources. There's plenty of people who want to help you enjoy the games so we can all enjoy it together.
Yep. Exactly. Everyone is very willing to share their secrets with you because, the stronger we are individually, the stronger we are as a group, right?
It's the same reason why we ask everybody to stay on their mains through progression. Basically, the more we can build up the team, the more stronger we are, period.
Yep. Yep. Well, what else do you guys have? Other suggestions?
Just as a side note to that, I don't disagree with the numbers requirements thing in any large capacity. But what I will say is that most of those damage add-ons, they rely on your vicinity to the person that you're parsing. As a prime example of that, in Legion and in Taurus, get into a fight like ENR, where you've got the groups spread very thin across a very large area. And I don't know if there's going to be any fights like that in Shadowlands, but on a fight like that, those damage meters are somewhat unreliable to a degree.
Yeah.
Because, and as a prime example of this, I played my Demon Hunter in that raid, and there were fights on ENR where I was parsing 7-8 million DPS, and the person who does our logs has me at 400k, for example. So,
okay, just to kind of cover that real quick, because we don't just instantly kick you if you don't do so much damage on a fight, that's kind of the, I understand that there's some variance. Details right now is one of the best ones for that.
Yeah.
But, usually after multiple fights, with, you have multiple people running meters with the officers. And so usually we're spread out the room, either doing DPS or heals or tanking, etc. So usually, when it does come down to a point where we actually have to, remove somebody, we usually, try to average out, all the fights that we've done to get, an average of sorts to see how they were doing overall. And so we really don't have that issue. Or we haven't had that issue.
I wasn't trying to buck up against that. Because
I
things that you can follow. We've spent a lot of time on this particular topic. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Oh no, I totally agree. Totally agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. I've been in those situations before, and it sucks. Especially if you're out in the FA, and you're not close to the dude that's doing the numbers.
Yeah.
But
I would look at some
I understand
of
what
my
you're getting
parses
at.
in Mythic and be like, I'm parsing 109%, and on the one that gets posted, oh, this says I did 400k. I'm gray,
Yeah, I mean,
that's the only reason I bring it up.
Right. And like what he said, we tip in. It's not like one pull. We also like talk about it.
Yeah.
And then like I said, we've standardized to go all the way across to use the same. So it's not like there's like a difference in how it's reading. But yeah, we split up. Should be somebody covering you. And again, we're going to look at it holistically, not on a one by one, or be like, oh, this fight he parsed 109, but the one before he was trash, absolute trash. That's we don't do that.
No.
And just a quick side note, like when we're doing progression, we totally understand everybody's learning the fights. Everybody's DPS is not going to be the greatest thing on earth. When the first handful of times, half dozen times, sometimes, on a fight, until that person learns to do their fight and move and do the mechanics and everything properly, then yes, there's going to be some variance, and we understand that. Usually when we're doing progression, there is usually very minimal, if none, people getting kicked out, because a lot of times it's they're still learning how to do the fights. It's no different than learning how to do mythic dungeons or even dungeons in itself. The more people learn what they need to be doing, the better they'll get.
Yeah. So.
I'd like to add too that from my experience with raiding with this guild and the number of cuts that have been done in a raid, it is very, very few. Like, for example, this last raid tier, we cut maybe 3 bosses. We wound up having to cut maybe 1 to 2 people at most, just to be able to get the boss down.
Yeah.
So, in over the whole time of our progression on this raid tier, so it's very, very little that I've experienced people getting caught. So just throw that out there.
Well, and also don't forget too that, sometimes when people are saying, oh, I'm not feeling well, or thanks guys, I'm really tired, I've got an early day tomorrow. What might have happened there was a discussion with an officer saying, hey, sorry, you're, we hate to do it, but we have to trim you. So, it may not appear that person has left because their numbers are low. It may be for a different reason, but you just have to trust us too, that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And, we try our best to, to find that balance, that sweet spot between, being inclusive, but also upholding the expectations and honoring those expectations and being as consistent as possible.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. I overslept. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Oops. How are you feeling?
Which brings us to the next topic of tardiness. No, I'm joking. Oops, you're fine.
Which, hey, that's a great segue.
Oops, like.
Sorry, oops. Not that we point fingers in this guild, but pointing fingers. There was a few people who said, hey, can we tighten up, the number of lates that we've had, and fair enough. I get that. And if that does become a pattern, then we'll address it. I try to, as I've said to the officers, when people make a mistake, it's a one-off, okay, it happens. We're all entitled to make that mistake. If it happens again, all right, then I start to raise an eyebrow. If it happens 3 times, then a pattern is starting to emerge, and patterns can become problems. So if a pattern does emerge and we do have someone who consistently comes late, one of the things that we can do is, okay, well, we'll invite you at break. We'll invite you at 10 o'clock. Or at 9 o'clock, whenever our break is, whenever they do arrive. So, not that I want to do that. I'm just kind of throwing out there, let's all be on time, but I know real life happens. But, if the tardiness does become a problem, then we might have to enforce a blanket rule saying, hey, if you're late, then we'll invite you for the first break.
And if you are late by chance, make sure you have your food, make sure you have your flasks, make sure all your stuff is ready to go, and, run to the raid. Don't try to, be like, oh, hey, can I get a summon? Blah, blah, blah. Unless it's available. If we're pulling trash or pulling a boss, you're basically holding up the other 20, 30 people, that are there on time. Mm-hmm. So, try to be like the when you slept in and you realize that you woke up 20 minutes from your alarm and you're trying to sneak into work kind of thing.
That's some personal experience, Tommy.
I was like, hey, is that a personal experience?
Yeah, that sounded.
Hey, I don't care how perfect you are. Everybody's been late to work at least once.
That sounded really detailed.
And I expect donuts, just saying.
And I think that also relates to starting on time too. And that is something that we're going to tighten up too, moving into Shadowlands. And I own that. I own a lot of that. So I apologize. We're going to make sure that our officer meeting ends when it's supposed to end, and then it's not going to spill into raid time. So my promise to you guys is, we're going to tighten that up and we're going to start on time.
I'll believe it when I see it. Oops.
And something that's, kind of related to that, if we're asking you guys to be on time and to meet the expectations and to be raid ready and to have done their homework and research the fights and your gear is gemmed and enchanted and you've got your add-ons and, you're all set ready to go, then, I would hope that there's no hypocrisy. We expect that of you. You expect that of us, so, we're not only going to uphold those expectations, we need to model them too. So it goes both ways. So, as I've said to my students hundreds of times, I would never ask you to do anything that I would not be willing to do myself. So, what we expect of you, you should also expect of us. And I hope that, we live up to that expectation as well.
Just be considerate, like I said, anytime you're joining a team, you're literally, having everybody else wait on you. So it's not fair to anybody else, and if you were there waiting for somebody else to show up, you'd be like, hey, let's go. Raid started 10 minutes ago,
Yeah. So.
And yes, I have been late before, so I'm no exception to the rule.
Yeah, for sure. We're all guilty of it. And the same thing with trimming too. Like we've trimmed officers as well, so it's, it's not as if, we are impervious to consequence. No, heck no. It's got to be transparent. It's got to be consistent across whether if you are an initiate, a member, a veteran member, or an officer.
Hey, I'm called Oopsie for that.
Side question. Can
Yeah.
I use impervious to consequence with my wife?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that's the best idea, but
I love that turn of phrase. That's amazing.
That's how you get a fine.
That's how you end up on a guildmate's couch for the evening.
I get hit upside the head.
Hey Sid, I got a couch for you.
That's a long travel for a couch.
I know, but I'm still offering.
I have a couch, but you gotta do the laundry first.
Oh, jeez.
Have you thought of coming to Michigan?
Hold on, everybody. I've just been reminded that I have to go get my wife's laundry out of the dryer.
Thanks for reminding me, man. If I had sat overnight, that would have been bad. Yeah, go. Yeah, thanks. I almost spit my water out.
Running late, now all of a sudden, oh wait, I've got laundry.
All right, what else do you guys have? Other comments, suggestions, constructive criticism? What can we do better?
Coordinate the using of bloodluster time more effectively.
Oh, that's hit hay, didn't it? Not even in this deal.
Well, I have a feeling somebody's gonna talk about popping lust early in a dungeon.
I mean, that is
Leave it to the shaman.
The fact that pre-pots are gone.
Right. Yeah. I know. That's a crummy change. But yes, yep, I wrote that down. we'll definitely tighten that up.
I was being facetious. That had nothing.
No, he wasn't.
Okay, scratch that. Let me scratch that.
All ideas from America are bad. Write that down.
Bite your tongue, you.
Shoot it.
One thing that I'd like to see us tighten up a little bit is we have to be utilizing our calendars. So please, please, please sign up on the calendar. If you're going to be attending the raid or any event, please sign up. It's just, going back to what Savvy said, it's a courtesy thing. As a raid leader or as an event leader, it really helps to know who's coming. Like I know with myself, prior to raid, I like to have all the tanks and heals confirmed, like a half an hour before raid time. And if I don't, if I see that, there's holes in the raid, then I'm reaching out to people to say, hey, can you tank? Can you heal? And, sometimes, when you don't sign up, like I'll just give you a scenario. Like if we're just like completely, fictional scenario here. So let's say I'm down on healers. And so I'm going to reach out to someone, hey, do you mind healing? And maybe it's someone from APOC Dudes. Like, can you heal for us? And he's like, yeah, no worries. So he switches over his gear. He makes sure he's got gems and enchants on his healing gear. He researches the fights, from a healing perspective. He's all good to go. And then our healer shows up 5 minutes before raid time. And they're ready to go, but they didn't sign up. And so now I'm in that icky, ugly position where I have to make a decision. So I have to go back to that awesome, amazing APOC dude and say, oh gosh, thanks so much, for getting your gear ready, researching the fight from a healer perspective. But, our healers showed up. So it just like, again, these are all things that happen behind the scenes. So signing up on the calendar really helps us out because we need to know if we've got a viable group moving forward so we can, we can have our raid night.
And for all you new members, if you're kind of confused, APEC Dudes is another guild that I play in regularly and have many friends over there that frequently come over and play with us as well on our raid nights here and there.
Yeah. Let's Yukel's Grave. I'm sorry, I've just butchered your name, haven't I? the warlock.
It's you in the back.
And you're absolutely right, and I hear you on that. As a teacher, right? So the teacher side of me is like, you know what? I don't want to reward that negative, that tardy behavior of that person who arrived late, right? And so, I should honor, the work that person put into being ready for heals, the extra effort that they took. They should be the one that I choose to heal. But then again, with that in mind, I think, okay, what's going to be in the best interest of the raid group? The healer who just showed up, who is our main healer, likely has a higher healing output than the person who is switching over to an alt spec who's just trying to accommodate a particular role that needs to be met in the raid, right? And so then, I struggle between, all right, what's in the best interest for the raid? And, well, at the same time, not trying to, reward lazy, tardy behavior. Like it's tricky. It's not easy.
And I mean, if you're not 100% sure, there's this wonderful thing called tentative.
Absolutely, right? Yep. And, and again, please don't be upset if you log on 5 minutes before a raid and you're like, okay, I want a tank. Well, I'm sorry. Like, me being an anal retentive control freak, I have already established those roles a half an hour before raid. So you logging on minutes before raid, wanting to tank, and I say, I'm sorry, we've already firmed it up. please don't be upset. I'm just trying to manage. I'm just trying to, do what is in the best interest of the raid group.
It's called coordination.
Don't need to attack us like this. Just coming at us like a spider monkey.
You snooze or lose.
Yep.
But Purse, what if I log on 5 minutes before the raid and want to tank?
She's soaring, but you can't.
You can sign up.
Well, see, again, then, I'm in this, this icky place, right? I want Sid to tank because he's an amazing tank.
But should have signed up.
But then I don't want to reward tardy
He was
behavior.
like,
Right? I know. It's just all bad.
Well, and the other thing I would say in terms of attendance, Discord, I think, has made a humongous change in terms of our communication. So I've seen lots of people just be like, hey, I'm going to be a little late or whatever. And I mean, Discord, you can get it on your phone. And I talk to a lot of y'all during the day on Discord.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're going to be late, like if you signed up or if you forgot to sign up, Purse was really good about sending me a message and being like, I noticed you didn't sign up. So usually it's friendly, sometimes it's not, but that depends on how far into the bottle she is and how bad her students were. So anyway, I'm just saying there's lots of ways to communicate. If you forget to sign up in the calendar and you go, oh crap, I'm going to be late.
Yep.
I think there's a raid attendance chat that you can just say, hey, I'm on the toilet, I'm going to be late.
And in regards to that channel, I know it's kind of filled with memes and weather forecasts at the moment, but when you do use it, if you put at Persephone, then she'll get a direct ping for it, so she won't miss it either.
Yeah.
And she might appreciate that as well. So if you know you're going to be late, just be like, at Persephone, I'm out drinking wine or eating cheese and crackers or whatever.
Yeah.
Purse pinging herself. Oh no, I'm gonna be late. Half through bottle.
Well, and you know what? In fairness, like, let's give credit where it's due. You guys are pretty awesome at that. I think we do really have good communication among our raid group. You let me know if you're not going to be there, and I really, really appreciate that. So I appreciate that courtesy, guys.
That's what I'm people do a good job. Just saying, if people are not aware that it's there, and I've seen people use this, they do a good job.
Yeah.
You should all come join us on the meme channel on Discord.
Oh my god, yes.
It's a meme channel?
Yeah, yeah. It's mostly pictures of cats being like, hang in there.
No, I put one right there at the beginning of this meeting to accompany our Baby Shark song.
God.
Seriously, Kinky Shark?
Kinky Shark.
That's amazing.
Turns out I need a safe word.
Cantaloupe. Cantaloupe. It's always cantaloupe. It's cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe? Hard to say with a ball gag in your mouth.
God. Anywho.
Who the hell had to try that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody there.
Sorry, I forgot. No vulgar comments.
Okay, next topic. Maybe that's not includable.
Well, a while back.
I noticed.
Sorry, go ahead.
I noticed at the beginning that we're getting a lot of new players in even Discord, and I know one of the officers did mention it. How about something to help train some of the new players in on some of the raids?
That's what alt raid's for.
Well, and LFR too. On
and
Tuesday.
LFR, yeah, LFR too. Yeah.
I've had after school detention sometimes.
We all.
Yeah. But
okay, we don't need to mention the fact that I was there every day. That's just kind of there.
I know that alt raid has seemed kind of lax. If you've just now kind of got in, it's a much more lax atmosphere because everybody understands these fights and we're at the end. But alt raid, when it first starts out, is a great opportunity. We take a lot of time to explain fights, why certain strategies are done the way that they are, why certain classes should be doing certain things. If anyone wants to kind of break into it, I would highly suggest alt raid as you're learning in a low stress environment way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Annie said too, LFR as well is a great place to start too.
Hey there, just a quick question actually, because I'm a firm believer that one person should not be managing everything. Is there any chance that the ranks can also be added on the Discord, just so that way, whether it's at officer or at raid leader, might be a way to take a little bit of pressure off of Purse?
Well, in terms of Discord, like just in terms of the ranking in Discord, it's just you're all members, and then the officers have an officer ranking. So there's just 2 rankings in Discord, but in Guild we have additional rankings.
Okay, perfect. Just as an idea, because I've seen it done in other channels where if you don't want to ping everyone and you don't want to just ping one person, you can ping a group.
Yeah.
If that's something that could be useful, but if you're cool with how.
Yeah. So we've got member, and then we have officer.
I think if you do an at officer, it'll ping all of us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just say at everyone and be like, I'm late. All right, buddy.
And yeah, on a personal level, definitely keep the alt raid going. I know personally I haven't been able to show up very much to it, but I do really appreciate that lax alternative to just enjoy a little bit more competitive content. So yeah, if that can keep going, that would be something that would make me very happy.
Absolutely. And like I said, once we clear normal Castle Nathria for progression, we'll transition to heroic for Saturdays, and then we'll start our alt raid on Fridays, which will be normal Nathria. There was a suggestion a while back that was made when we're on progression bosses, let's save our feasts. I think that's a great idea. So, if we're starting on a new boss and we can anticipate there's going to be a few wipes, then we won't drop a feast. It'll just be about learning the mechanics. I think that makes sense. And also, again, looking at the mats that are going to be required for these feasts, I think we need to be a little conservative on the number of feasts that we do drop. Flasks, of course, across the board are still required. I want everyone to flask up for sure, but we can be a little more frugal with our feast for sure. I think that's a great idea, and we'll implement that for progression.
How much do the current feasts will the new feasts give us?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if you want, I can go back to making the Legion ones to give us some smaller buffs for progression. Yeah. It's not the full buff, but it's a little bit something. And I still have a maxed out Underlight Angler, so I can still go and get the fish stupidly easy.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Yeah, we can use the older feasts. Just use them up when we're starting on new bosses.
Yeah, I use the pre-pot from Legion when we're still practicing because it's I have so many of those stupid blood things.
Yeah.
I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure pots from not pots, but feasts from previous expansions will not be able to be used in Shadowlands above level 50. I think. I may be wrong about that.
I think there's a lot of things that have been pretty much after we hit 50 won't be usable anymore from pots.
So
food.
Remember, every expansion has 2 tiers of food. You could even use the lower end food for the actual Shadowlands that will give you bigger buffs than a Legion.
Yeah.
A Legion feast would. There's no reason why anybody who's raiding can't go out for a raid and catch 20 fish to get them a stack of easy to prepare cheap food.
Yep.
Yeah, personal food is always, in every expansion, pretty easy to come across.
I'm not gonna lie. I used personal food in the beginning of expansion to make a crap ton of money.
I mean, it's great that the
Yeah.
guild provides us with cauldrons and feasts. That's one of the perks of CRD. It's fantastic. But nobody should be coming to Progression Raid without a stack of their own personal food anyway.
And or flasks or whatever else is needed. You should be running independently as a raider. That it's kind of a normal. You should be prepared. And if we have it, then we have it, and you don't have to use your own. If we don't, then you're just going to be standing there looking like, oh, I didn't bring any.
Yeah.
So it's better to have some in your bags all the time, so you're always prepared.
Correct.
And then we will quote Illidan to you.
You are not prepared.
Yes.
You're not prepared.
I am myself.
You are not prepared.
I like it.
Did you see him trying to cook the turkey? He's stabbing it, saying, "You are not prepared. You're not prepared."
There was also a suggestion made a while back about, moving into Shadowlands. We should have a YOLO attempt on our first boss, like our first attempt on bosses. And I want to think about that a bit more. If we do YOLO attempts, then it means that I have to surrender control and be comfortable with chaos, and that just that makes I don't like that.
She's already sweating.
But at the same time, the teacher in me does also recognize that if we do a YOLO attempt, then when we regroup and when I deliver the formalized strategy, then I can make reference to hey, that ad that just came out and killed us all, or hey, that everyone saw that animation. So I do realize that jumping in and experiencing it, and even if it results in a wipe 20 seconds later, there a lot of learning can still be experienced. So it is something that I'll consider, I'll think about. I just haven't fully decided upon whether or not we're going to do that.
I like YOLO attempts. I think they make up for the time spent talking about the fight, because then when you actually talk about the fight, people know what you're talking about.
For sure, and like I said, I see the benefit of that for sure.
I agree with that too, because I can also say too that a lot of people, they tune out when you're going through long explanations of this is what happens here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Then once you go through the explanations, then the next thing that happens, we wipe to those very things that we just explained.
Well, and on top of that, it cools down all the people that are like, come on, we gotta pull. Because then it's like, okay, we did our pull. This is what happens when we pull. Obviously, we need some instructions. Here's your instructions. Let's do this.
Yeah. Well, and I don't mean to be verbose with my instructions. I try to chunk it. I try to, keep it to, okay, these are 3 things that we have to focus on. So I do try to keep it as simple and as clear and as short as possible.
You say that, but I will point out that one time where we spent an hour talking about triangles.
Oh dear.
Somebody come back along the lines of, "Oh, is that what you was talking about?"
Can you start over?
Okay. And that's when
I lost the train of thought. It was just gone from the station when I got here.
And that's when a little piece of my soul dies.
That's usually when you find me over the corner giggling.
Well, yeah. Go ahead, Sevi.
I was just going to say, as a side note, everybody should be doing their homework already. So, they should already have a good idea about the fight. But I know that doesn't always happen, and real life stuff happens. And some people may not have enough time or run out of time, etc. But, if, the information is there, by the time, we're going to be a month So the raid's going to be out a good 3-4 weeks before we even start. So there's going to be a plethora of information. If you just take the time to actually, research, there should be guides out for everything that we're going to be doing. So please make use, take a little time here and there to watch the fights. Even if you don't catch everything in the fight, at least see the fight. That helps. That's what I do. I'll just watch a boss fight here or there, and just then as I do the fight, I may not remember all the mechanics at first, but just by watching it, it kind of gives me that little photo imagery of
definitely
what happens and what I should avoid and etc. And
definitely
makes a big difference, for the for the team as well.
And once we're into our raid progression, I always try to post mid-week reminders. So I try to post Wednesday or Thursday, hey guys, this is our agenda for Saturday. And here are the strat videos, which I, either Fat Boss, which I know they certainly can be verbose and lengthy, but Hazelnutty, she's awesome. She does a great job in just giving you the facts of the fight and just kind of the Cole's Notes version of what you need to know. And some of those videos are only 3 minutes long. So, please take the time to check them out, because it's all going to help toward the success of our group.
Yes, I am the same way. I am very much a learn by doing,
absolutely,
not so much by watching kind of person. So I understand where you're coming from, but just taking a little time to even just watch the fight, it still does make a big difference in my opinion.
He said it correctly. First try. Congrats on him.
At the very least, if you look at the freaking adventure dungeon journal too.
Yep. Well, and anything else, guys? Anything? Any other constructive criticism or ideas? What can we tighten up? What would you like to see? Again, what it doesn't all have to be negative either. What worked for you? What worked well?
I had a slightly.
I don't know if there's going to be any criticism or anything, but I know I'm excited for getting raids done. I've been, invited to this guild since the Legion, but I was absent from all of BFA because I hated the expansion. But, for this next expansion, I'm really going to kick in try hard mode, and I'm looking forward to doing pretty much everything I can. So, along with those mythic pluses that I believe Sid said he was good for, I'm 100% going to be trying to get as much done as that too. So, I'm just really looking forward to all this, and I've already dedicated the Saturdays, and
awesome.
I've written off on it, so I have legal proof that I will get those raids.
Anything you organize towards Torghast runs?
Well, I've written it down. I've got it here in my notes. So, like I said, the officers and I will get together again, and we'll take a look at all your feedback, and we'll consider all of that, and we'll move forward.
So, just to give you a heads up, Torghast is basically a more fun version of the island. It's probably going to be an easy swap for what would have been Islands Night.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just have a very slightly crazy, very random request first. If once we start figuring out dates and times, maybe we could find a date or time that works for people. We do, I want to say, non-constructive but fun activities.
Right. So kind of like when I used to host a Wacky Wednesday.
That or the event I keep talking to you about wanting to do.
Perfect.
Trivia nights, lore. I could do lore discussions because my insane mind with the lore.
But my question contests are really fun.
Yeah, hot chicks, quizzes.
I like lawn darts. I haven't done that in a while.
Definitely. Yep. We can. I think it's time to do another one of those.
Right in the boat.
Okay.
Ooh.
Lawn darts.
Yes.
Gosh, that was a good time.
Speaking of which, do you still have that video somewhere first from that one lore night you made?
Yeah, they're all on our YouTube channel.
Because I know I ran a couple, and I know you videotaped ones. So
Yep. They're all there. And just, some shameless guild promotion there. If you didn't know that we have a YouTube channel, please check it out. All of our videos are uploaded there, so check them out and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
Really considered putting a link in our Discord to it, just to be fair.
There is.
Okay. I'll share that.
It's a whole channel. CRD raid progression videos.
This is true.
Wait, we have videos?
Oh, especially of you.
At least a dozen of those where you yell bull semen in.
I don't really need to watch the videos again because I was probably dead.
There's one alt-raid video that everyone should go and watch.
Oh dear.
Is that the one where Purse sings?
Purse absolutely loses it.
I don't know which one you're talking about. When have I ever lost it?
I personally think you need to go watch the Kill Jaden and Tumo Sagdaris kill, because that even got interesting.
The first one you ought to watch is when you have 5 hours, 6 hours to waste is the King's Rest video.
Oh my god, yes. Like 2 hours in, the giggles start.
That's another
good. Tumo Sagdaris, we went to like 1:30, and I'm not sure how many glasses of wine Purse got in, but it sounded like a bit.
Oh my god, that's true. Oh, that one was fun. Or, God, Aldir, when we finally got the kill on Cahoon.
Oh,
they were like 4 hours of Cahoon.
Purse, is your face turning red?
You'll just have to rewatch the video to find out.
She don't remember. See, that's the thing.
You guys are making me sound as if I'm a lush or something. Come on.
Just during that video, nothing more.
Wasn't one of these where we had to like pause the raid for 10 minutes because you spilled wine on your keyboard?
Ah.
That was tea.
Oh, gosh.
That wasn't wine, that was tea.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
It was tea.
I'm sorry. Fermented grape tea.
You.
Oh,
Go back a couple of years. There's also some nights we made up Disney songs.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
I was gonna say, I think it was Kill Rock Heroic. We had a hunter pull early, and that was our first kill.
The hunter pulled early and it got killed, or the hunter pulled early and it killed? You guys actually killed everything.
I think it was Emu.
We got the boss down.
We got Kilrog's. Our first successful kill was on the oops pull.
Yeah. At least you didn't film the ones when I levitated a couple of people and they floated down into the lava.
Oh, I remember that.
Why didn't you record that one?
Oh,
That's hilarious.
yes.
It was. It's in with the elevator of death. I can't think of it. The rain. But yeah, I levitated them. Just so they levitated down off of the elevator so they didn't hit the floor. And they just kept going into the lava.
You really do have full bags first.
Before we get finished up here and actually start rating, I would like to mention, when we're doing progression, or even when we're not doing progression, if you have an idea, or if you saw something when you were pugging, etc., please whisper Purse and let her know, and then she can decide whether to implement that idea. Sometimes, especially during progression, it can be confusing because we'll end up having multiple people talking, and we want to avoid that, so we can just focus on Purse's directions as we move through the raid. So, if you have any questions about what we're doing, or complaints, or various other things, just make sure you send it to her, since she is the raid leader, and then she can address you personally about why we're doing what we're doing when we're doing it, so there's no confusion.
Sounds good. And we've always said that, if you've found a better strategy, let us know. my promise to you guys is that, I will have done my homework. I will have researched the fights. I try to make decisions on the best interest of our raid group, looking at our strengths and weaknesses. There's a lot of different strats out there, but, sometimes this strat is going to work better for our raid composition or for our raid competency. So, those are all things that I do consider. But hey, if you've found a trick, or if you found a better strategy, or to make things easier, gosh, let me know, and we'll incorporate it.
Respond to Yuke's. No, I'm 100% open. If you have something, that's fine. If I'm raiding, then you can message me. It's fine. Spent multiple years raid leading this guild. So I can probably answer your question as good as she could. So no, I'm totally open. I just would like to see, as she is the raid leader, I want to make sure that she's getting information to help our team. And, if you have something to bring to the table, that's the person you should direct it to.
Well, anything else, guys?
I want to punch something.
Punching thing is good for your health. I recommend do it daily.
I'm on blanket number 3.
So.
Is that code for wine glass?
Yeah, before we transition into killing stuff, we will take a 5-minute break. So, yes, I can refill my wine glass.
So, could you go over all of that again?
Oh, hey!
It's actually about an hour-long discussion on appropriate times to use lust.
It was 2 hours long.
I covered that one already. That was me. And
I could have used that.
No, it wasn't you. It was Hade.
It's like, it's part of my rotation. Why is that key there? It makes my deeps go up.
This is good, right?
All right. Well, before we finish this up, again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Like I said at the beginning of this meeting, everyone matters. Everyone's voice matters. Everyone, deserves to have their voice heard. And we're a team. It's not just one person. It's we are all. We all contribute to the success of this guild and this raid team. So thank you very much. And I also want to acknowledge too, thank you for your commitment. I know that some of you have very busy lives, and I know that some of you are managing kid aggro and husband aggro and wife aggro, and you're canceling plans to be here. You're quaffing down food to make it to raid on time. You're working 12 hours and yet you're still rushing home to be here. We acknowledge all of that. We recognize that. We know that you're doing all that. And I just didn't want you to think that any of those efforts are have not been noticed. So we appreciate everyone's, what you need to do to make it here. We appreciate that. Is that it, guys?
Also, quick shout out to everybody that showed up, because I don't think I've ever seen this many people in Discord.
This is awesome.
There's 35 people, maybe more.
I know. It's beautiful.
That's amazing. I can't
is.
even get that many. I only see that at town halls at my work. And even then, they've tuned out, or it's pictures of cats or something.
I can't even count that high.
Right?
Yes. Thank you all for showing up and taking the time to be here.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Well, thanks to you guys for having this. I mean, it's always good to have your input heard.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
And relevantly ignored, but hey, what's the matter?
Yikes.
Noted.
You got him.
Did you get that first?
I got that. I wrote it down. It's right here.
Yeah.
So yes, all of your suggestions and ideas I have written down here in my notebook.
You hear it just hit the wastebasket.
Nicely done.
Well done.
Is that what that swishing sound was in the background?
It was. It was.
Or was that the spare wine glass filling up?
Jeez.
She's a teacher. It's a high-tech wastebasket.
That's true.
Oh, you saying that it every time something swooshes in, it fills another one for her, just in case?
It'd be pretty slick, actually. I'd buy that waste bin.
It makes the toilet sound every time.
Just one thing, real quick. Issues that I've heard that people would like to get a lot better, and we do struggle with it. We do have a lot of leaders in this guild that during the raid want to speak up during our pools and stuff like that. We really, really need to tighten up that when we're in the middle of a pool, that the only people that are supposed to be giving out orders and stuff is the raid leader, not 5, 8 people, because it makes it confusing for a lot of other raid team when you've got multiple people screaming out what to do. That's what the raid leader's there for. And that's another reason why you need to really whisper your suggestions and ideas. And if the person needs you to call out something, she will ask. Otherwise, during the raid pool itself, it really needs to be kept quiet.
Yeah. Indeed. And also just with that said too, if I don't respond to your whisper right away, please don't be upset. Like I probably field anywhere between 50 to 100 whispers per raid night. So, it's nothing personal. I appreciate all your suggestions, and please know that I do read and consider everything, and I'll definitely reply to your whisper as soon as I can.
I've got a macro that sends her hot messages all day, so I try to tie her up, but
And going into Shadowlands, Shorty is no longer receiving messages during raid. Just kidding.
Oh, I was about to say, is that an option? I'll sign up for that.
I mean, that is kind of such shorty notice. This.
It was pretty good.
Ha ha. All right, so let's end it here, and I will. What are we at here? 9:42. Okay, let's give everyone 10 minutes. So I will send out invites. I'll send out invites for raid at 9:52, and like I said, it will be a continuation. So we are on Carapace.
Awesome. Everybody have fun on the raid, and see you Tuesday.
I would qualify that as a very well done meeting, and I would like to say night because I'm going to bed.
Good night.
Nighty night. See you guys in 10 minutes.
First, you mean 9:52, not 10:52.
Oh, good Lord. Yes, thank you.
Get more wine.
You never have enough.
Alrighty. Okay, let's end this recording.